I was in a bar downtown, and this boy just like grabbed me, and he was really cute. So I was like, oh my gosh. So he was like dancing on me, and he was asking what my name was, and I could tell that he was really drunk. But I was like, it'll be okay. So he grabs my hand. He was like, do you want to leave? And I said, sure. So we walk out, and of course, me being 18 and having like no idea what's going on, I really hadn't had a history drinking or anything or going out. I was a virgin at the time too, so I feel like that kind of affects things. He said, he was like dragging me like really fast on the street, like holding my hand. And I looked at this kid and I was like, where are we going? And he said, back to my fraternity house. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, again, just being naive. We get to his fraternity house and I realized really quickly that he doesn't live there. So he's like a pledge. He takes me to like the upstairs bathroom of the fraternity house, which is like a dorm style bathroom. I'm guessing there were several shower stalls and like several showers. So he like takes me in this shower stall, and I'm really freaked out at this point. And like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to leave. I didn't know what to say, because I realized like he was a little, like, even though he was younger, he was still older than me, I figured out. And he was in this fraternity and I didn't know what to do, and I was really overwhelmed. And he was just like kissing me, and he was like, well, I guess we can just like do it right here. And I was like freaking out because like I never had sex before, so I was freaking out. While it's happening, I'm just like super uncomfortable, and like I could feel myself like getting really hot and like freaking out. And then we hear the door open to the bathroom, and an older brother comes into the bathroom and starts like banging on all the shower stalls. And he keeps saying, what freshman is in here? Do you have a girl in here? Like, if you have a girl in here, she needs to go. You both need to go. So I guess he didn't want to get caught, and he like puts his hand over my mouth and like holds it there, so I couldn't say anything. I was just like really flustered and was freaking out. And after that guy left happened, it wasn't like aggressive, but it was just like, it was. And I was freaking out. And so finally, like, I realized this kid was like so drunk that I was like, I think I can get out. I think I can go. So I like told him, I was like, I gotta go, I gotta leave. And like I was like running out, I was like texting my friends, like calling on my friends. So the girl who was like my best friend at the time, I like told her what happened. I was crying and I was like so flustered. I like told her, I was like, I need you to like wake someone up to come get me, like, because she had gone out too, so like I knew she couldn't drive. And she like on the phone went, you got yourself into this, you can get yourself out, and hung up the phone. Then I called another girl who I went out with, and I was like, I need you to get someone to come get me. So she got another one of our friends, because she had been drinking, got another one of her friends who didn't have a car, woke her up. This is like 2:33 in the morning. She drove her car to the fraternity house to come pick me up, and it was just like terrible. I cried the whole way home, and I don't know, and I was, for like the next week, I was just like really overwhelmed and like really flustered, and I couldn't believe it like happened.
I was a doorman for a local bar, Nowhere Bar. One evening, a patron swung by and we talked, joked around. And by the end of the night, she left with my number. We proceeded to talk infrequently, and I believe a week after our first meeting, she came back by the bar one night that I was working. Again, a similar night to our first, just jokes, talks, nothing serious. The following day, we scheduled to go to dinner, and we went to Clocked downtown, actually, Clock Diner. And it was after our meal that she invited me back to her house. She was 23 at the time. I was 18. Being 18, I was also naive. I didn't know what subtly was expressed by coming over to your house. I just thought it was going to be for like movies or just further hanging out. Honestly, it's quite innocent. Obviously, my awareness has changed since. We went to her house and we drove separately. It's important. And once there, we were watching Netflix, and she offered me a beer, and I said yes. So she went to go pour a beer, and she took a while to just fix the beer. Like, not like normally how you would just take to pour 2 beers into a glass. It was probably about 5 minutes. The rooms were completely separate, and I couldn't see around the corner. And offered me a beer, and I started drinking. Drank about half the glass of beer, and then we, as she offered, proceeded to smoke weed. We smoked a bowl of weed. And I may disclose that I was a frequent smoker at the time. So a bowl of weed had marginal effects upon myself. And certainly as I worked at a bar, half a glass of beer likewise had marginal effects. Now this was all that I consumed, and within 15 minutes, my vision started becoming tunneled. I began feeling woozy and losing train of thought. My speech began getting slurred, and objects around me just seemed to be blurred. It was a real blurred vision. It was in these moments that she proceeded to undress myself and undress herself, rather. I vividly remember not undressing her. She actually undressed herself, and within maybe 2 minutes of those moments, she was already she was naked and I was in my underwear. And it wasn't until that I became aware that this was wrong and I was rather seduced and not wanting this action or warranted of the action that was provided. And I quickly assembled my things and hurried myself out the door. I drove away, and it was only 8 o'clock at night, or 8:30, I believe. Yeah. And I remember driving home to the east side of Athens where I lived at the time, and I had tunnel vision. I was afraid I was going to wreck. I mean, I was probably going easily 10 under the limit and still thinking I was going to wreck. I became aware of what drug it was a year later on my best friend's birthday when he offered Xanax, and we decided to, why not? Let's take a Xanax. And once that drug kicked in, I instantly knew what it was that I had a year before. It was rather an issue of unwanted touching that I fortunately found myself aware to reject and remove myself from the situation.
So I met a friend for cookies at Insomnia downtown, and I wanted to get back to my dorm, which was an ECV. And I didn't really pay attention to how dark it was getting, but I was like, you know what? I just want to get back to my dorm. So I took the shortest route because I was walking because I didn't have a car, which just happened to be like behind the frat houses, like on Greek Row. And as I was walking down, like back there, a car came up like beside me, and like someone rolled down the window and asked for directions. And as I was like about to like provide them with directions with how to get to wherever they wanted to go, someone else hopped out of the car and grabbed me. You try to fight, like it's like you don't want that. Mm-hmm. But they just kind of like kicked me out of the car after, and I went back to my dorm. I didn't process what had happened. Like right then, all I knew was I want to go home and I want to take a shower, which I now know was the dumb thing to do. But I got home and like I swear I scrubbed my body for like 2 hours. And then I was like, wait, like as I was in the shower, I had this moment of, that was serious. That doesn't just happen to people. I need someone to be with me right now. So I called a few friends.